My name is Tom Harris. Until that night, I thought my life was pretty good, but everything I loved was taken or threatened to be taken from me overnight. Yet I survived. Over the years, I found solace in one Bible verse. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor bread to the wise, nor riches to the intelligent, nor favor to the skilled, but time and chance happen to them all. I married Emily Rogers 3 months after college graduation. 7 years later, she betrayed me completely. Reflecting on our marriage, I found no warning signs. Emily was very attractive, 5'6" with blonde hair and green eyes. She wasn't wealthy, but to me, she was perfect, a 9 on a scale of 1 to 10. Her charm drew people in, and she captivated me from her first hello. We seemed to fit together perfectly, sharing similar goals, or so I thought. We dated and eventually got married. If Emily was a 9 with great charm, I was an 8.5, the strong, silent type. I'm 5'8", 190 pounds, with sandy brown hair. I had an active social life in high school and college with my share of relationships. Though not a sports or movie star, I occasionally caught the eye of women. Emily and I met in a college statistics class. We quickly became inseparable. Before graduation, I landed a good job, and our future looked bright. One red flag was Emily's reluctance to introduce me to her parents, Robert and Karen. After the wedding, I discovered she was embarrassed by her family's poverty. But they were wonderful people, warm, compassionate, and generous. I grew to love them as my own parents since mine had passed away. They lived in a modest house in a not-so-great neighborhood, but it was well-maintained and clean. Emily's neglect of her parents saddened me, but mentioning it always led to arguments. So, I kept in touch with them, calling weekly and helping when I could. For instance, when Robert's lawn mower broke and he couldn't afford to fix it, I bought a used one for him, pretending it was my old one. He gratefully accepted it. My job as a staff accountant at a large manufacturing firm paid well. The accounting department, though small, handled all operations for the company's businesses. 3 years in 2 events boosted my career. Our department manager retired, and I passed the CPA exam after 2 failed attempts. After failing to hire from outside twice, I was promoted to head the accounting department with a 6-figure salary. This made Emily happy, as we could now afford a bigger house and nicer cars. Shortly after the wedding, Emily became pregnant, and we had twins, a girl and a boy. Initially, Emily was unhappy, feeling it was too soon and wanting to travel first. I was ecstatic. Fortunately, once the twins, Sarah and Ethan, were born, Emily became a wonderful mother. She stayed home for 5.5 years, then got a job as an administrative assistant at a law firm when the kids started kindergarten. I worried she might be led astray, but her boss, Ben Parker, was a devoted Christian with a solid family life. Our marriage seemed strong until the 6th year when Emily became increasingly unhappy. One day, after she lashed out at Sarah, I confronted her. "What's going on, Emily? You didn't need to snap at her. It was just a plate." Emily started to cry. "I'm just so depressed. I feel like my life is passing me by. I feel like I'm just somebody's wife or mommy. There are so many places I want to visit and things we can't afford. My life is crap." I was shocked and suggested counseling, which she angrily rejected. "I'm not crazy. I just want to live a better life." Emily's mood swings made our home life tense. Sometimes she'd lose her temper, and other times we'd be a loving family. I thought it was a rough patch, but I loved Emily and our kids, so I tried to shield them from her mood swings and reassured them of her love. On weekends, I took Sarah and Ethan on outings. Emily sometimes joined us but often didn't. The kids loved their happy mom on trips but were relieved to leave their unhappy mom at home. Things were tense until a 4th of July picnic my company hosted. Surprisingly, Emily enjoyed it, and afterward, her mood improved, and our life got back on track. Then came the New Year's Eve party at my company's office, and my life changed dramatically. Emily, who usually didn't want to go, insisted this time, saying she missed dancing. This was odd since Emily wasn't fond of dancing, but I agreed. At the party, I was surprised to see our company owner, David Stone. He usually only attended the 4th of July picnic. It was at the last picnic that Emily first met him. Everyone was surprised to see him at the New Year's party, as he typically only participated in volleyball and softball games during the summer event. Once Emily settled in, I went to get us drinks. When I returned, the music started, and David asked Emily to dance. They danced through several songs before he brought her back to our table. When I suggested Emily dance with me, she said she needed to rest, but half an hour later, she eagerly danced 5 more songs with David. I only managed to get 2 dances with her before she claimed she was tired again. 15 minutes before midnight, David returned, and Emily took his hand without even looking at me. I was furious but didn't want to make a scene in front of my boss. I decided to talk to Emily at home. As midnight approached, I looked for Emily to kiss her at the stroke of midnight. To my shock, I saw David kiss her on the lips. I stormed over, pulled David away, and shouted, "Leave my wife alone, you fool!" The room fell silent as everyone stared at us. I didn't care if David was my boss. He had crossed the line. My heart raced, and I was ready for a confrontation, but David just smirked. Through clenched teeth, I said, "Emily, it's time to go home." When I reached for her hand, she pulled away. "Tom, I'm sorry," Emily said, holding David's hand, "but I'm going with David tonight. We'll talk tomorrow." I was too stunned to respond. David and Emily left, and everyone stared at me. Humiliated, I went home. The next morning, I woke with the worst hangover of my life after a night of crying and drinking. I was enraged and plotted revenge on David, but quickly discarded any plans that could land me in jail. After 3 hours, I managed to control my headache and called the babysitter, telling her I'd pick up Sarah and Ethan soon. Paranoia set in. What if Emily decided not to come back? I rushed to get the kids before Emily could. The kids were happy to see me but asked where their mom was. Holding back tears, I lied and said she had to go on a trip. They were disappointed until I suggested going to IHOP for pancakes. While they ate, I made 2 lists, one for fixing things and one for planning a divorce. Back home, I was relieved and disappointed that Emily wasn't there. I wanted to fix things but feared my reaction. Then I saw the answering machine blinking. It was a message from Emily saying it was best to postpone our conversation for a week. She explained that David needed a secretary for a business trip, and she was filling in. Emily turned out to be full of lies. The only person she was filling in for was David. I threw away my list of ways to reconcile. The emotional pain was worse than any physical pain I'd ever experienced. Betrayal by someone you love and trust is indescribable unless you've been through it. I understood how people could go insane and do terrible things. I dismissed any thoughts of self-harm because I loved my children too much. But other dark thoughts persisted, including doubts about whether Sarah and Ethan were really mine. I let the kids play in the backyard while I started planning a new life. First on my list was a DNA test. I took a kit when we went to a restaurant and collected samples. I called a friend who had gone through a divorce and asked for his ex-wife's lawyer's contact information. The lawyer, Jack Watson, was surprised but interested when I mentioned my wife's lover was David Stone. He scheduled a meeting for Tuesday morning and asked me to bring my financial documents. After gathering everything, I spent the day with the kids. We went to Joe's Pizza and I mailed the DNA test. The results confirmed the kids were mine, which was a huge relief. The next morning, I called work to take the week off and went to Jack Watson's office with the kids. Jack's office was large, and he was very understanding and compassionate. He listened as I told him how Emily had left me for my boss on New Year's Eve. Jack showed me a picture of his cousin, Abby Stone, who had been married to David's brother, Mark. Mark cheated on Abby, and Jack represented her in the divorce. Although he was outmatched by David's lawyers, he eventually got the judgment partially reversed. Jack promised to fight hard for me despite knowing David would bring his lawyers against us. "That's enough for me," I said firmly. "Let's get started." I suddenly felt good that someone was on my side and that I could finally fight back. For the next 3 hours, we reviewed all the papers, discussed what to expect, and Jack asked what I really wanted. "I want the house, half the property, my untouched pension, No alimony and no child support, I said. Jack replied, "You might need to temper your expectations, but I'll fight for all that. Do you want full custody?" I clarified, "If Emily doesn't want the kids, then yes, I want them, but I think joint custody is fair since she loves them too." Jack warned, "She's likely to get primary custody, especially if she marries David. He has the resources to make her a stay-at-home mom. You might get liberal visitation rights, but they might fight that too." "That sucks," I said angrily. "I didn't do anything wrong, but I'll end up losing." Jack added, "If she marries David, you won't pay child support, but will still owe alimony." "I'll gladly pay child support just to see my kids," I said. At the final meeting, Jack spoke to Sarah and Ethan and was impressed by their love for me. He said, "Your kids love you so much that they love their mom too, just not as much." I left feeling better financially but worried about time with my kids. Jack said he would draft a divorce and temporary custody petition. We planned to serve Emily after her business trip. Emily called and asked to talk, so I arranged for the kids to be elsewhere. I no longer had illusions about reconciling. Our marriage was over. When Emily arrived, I struggled to contain my emotions. I got a beer and sat at the table. Emily asked about the kids, and I nearly snapped. "So now you're worried about them?" I said. Emily quickly reassured me. "I thought our meeting would be ugly after New Year's Eve. I'm sorry for that. David convinced me it was better to let you cool off, and he was right. After the trip, I realized he was my soulmate." "Soulmate? Convenient. He's super rich," I said sarcastically. "Let's talk about the divorce so I can stop wasting my time." Emily got angry. "You don't have to be rude. I don't care what you think." "Then leave," I said, heading to the backyard. But Emily insisted we finish the conversation. She handed me an envelope. The terms were generous until I read the last paragraph. I threw the papers at her. "Tell David to shove this proposal. I will never consent to him adopting my children. Offering $100,000 for consent is despicable." "Tom, we can offer the kids a better life," Emily argued. "Screw you and your husband," I retorted. "It'll be better for the kids. They'll have better opportunities and travel. David is willing to pay you $250,000 for the adoption." "No way," I said. "This conversation is over. Emily, you're not just a total strumpet but also an idiot. What part of screw yourself and your soulmate don't you understand?" "I'm sure David will increase his offer to $500,000, Emily quickly replied. "That's probably more money than you'll ever have. We were barely making ends meet on your salary. Don't forget David is your employer. Your job could disappear in an instant. Even if he offered $100 million, I wouldn't take it," I said. I was on the verge of doing something stupid and needed to calm down. I glanced at the clock and turned back to Emily. "I've had time to reflect on our marriage, and it's not pretty. You may think you have a golden kitty, but you don't. We had a good marriage for a while, but for the last year you've been a terrible wife, mom, and person. We weren't just making ends meet. You always spent more than necessary because you wanted the best of everything. I don't need David's crumbs, and if he plans to fire me, I'll go to the EOC right now. The court granted me custody of the kids because Emily abandoned them. I didn't give up my children," she said angrily. Then the doorbell rang. "It's for you," I said, smiling as I opened the door to a sheriff's deputy. He asked, "Are you Emily Harris?" After she showed her ID, he handed her a summons. She read the divorce petition and ran away in tears. God, that felt good. I told Jack on my cell phone. "I hope you behaved yourself," Jack asked. "It was difficult, but I did." Emily left here in tears after being served. "I don't know what that had to do with anything. You were hardly wrong about what they'd offer. But David wants to adopt my kids." "He can't do that, Tom." "That's unexpected," Jack admitted. "Taking away your parental rights would be extremely difficult unless they prove you're unfit. Be careful around Emily and David. Stay close to people who can be witnesses. They may try to twist even innocent events to make you look bad. We'll be prepared." "Jack, does it ever get easier?" I asked, feeling the pain of Emily leaving again. Yes, it does, Jack replied immediately. You're not as devastated today as the night she left. There will be good and bad days for a long time. We might lose some skirmishes with David and Emily, but we'll regroup and find new ways to fight back. Keep the faith. During the week off work, I followed Jack's advice. I opened new accounts and transferred half the money. I arranged for the twins to stay at school until 5:30 p.m., giving me time to get home and do chores before putting them to bed. I established a stricter routine, making them bathe, brush their teeth, and go to bed by 8 p.m. They initially objected, but when I promised 2 bedtime stories, they began to look forward to it. Spending time with the kids became a lifesaver. We grew closer and they didn't ask about their mom too often. But one day, Ethan asked if his mom would ever come back. I didn't want to hurt them but didn't lie either. I told them the truth. Their mom found a new man she liked better than me and wanted him to be their new daddy. They cried, and I felt awful thinking I'd said too much. I quickly assured them that I would always be their daddy. That calmed them down and I got 2 big hugs. Saturday morning arrived, and it was time to take the kids to their riding lessons. Despite not seeing their mom for over a week, Sarah and Ethan were excited to see Miss Darla. The lessons were my idea, which Emily had opposed. Sarah loved horses, and Ethan joined in to avoid being left out. Surprisingly, Ethan became a better rider than Sarah. Darla Thompson, who owned the horse farm, was an excellent instructor and a cheerful person. She had a warm smile and an infectious laugh, and the kids adored her. "Where's Mrs. Harris?" Darla asked as I stood at the corral fence. "Mrs. Harris and I are getting a divorce," I replied honestly. "I'm sorry," Darla said quickly. "I didn't mean to intrude." "No, it's okay. I just hope we can keep the kids in these lessons. My lawyer says the court will likely give her primary custody and me visitation rights. I'm fighting for joint custody, but it doesn't look good." "Why?" "Once the divorce is final, Emily will marry her rich lover and stay home. I'll have to hire babysitters, and I work for David, her lover, so I might lose my job soon." "Is that David Stone?" Darla asked, narrowing her eyes. "Yeah. Do you know him?" "I've met his lawyers. He wanted 2 acres of my land without paying for it just to create a buffer. His lawyers filed motions and I couldn't afford to fight. I finally agreed to give up the land if he paid my attorney's bill. The whole experience left a sour taste in my mouth for David. David is a piece of crap. My soon-to-be ex-wife chose him, and I'd like to see them both get what they deserve," I said. "What will you do if David fires you?" Darla asked. "I'm a tax preparer and do bookkeeping on the side. I have 3 small business clients now. I'm saving money from my job and side business to help when I get laid off. I might have to sell the house and find an apartment to set up my business. If you can handle my accounting for the money I'm paying now," Darla said softly, "I'd be happy to give you my business." "I can't ask you to do that," I protested. "If your accountant is doing a good job, there's no reason to change." "I don't know if they're doing a good job. They were my father's accountants and handle payroll taxes and more for $2,000 a month. I don't know anyone there, and they take weeks to respond." I glanced at Sarah and Ethan, happily jumping their horses, then turned to Darla. "Okay, if you're sure, I'll look at your books. If I can do it for the same amount, I'll take you on as a client." Darla laughed and led me to her office, where she showed me the current year's books and last year's tax return. The charges from her current firm were exorbitant. "I can't do it for what they're charging," I said with a smirk. "I can't charge you more than $750 a month and $2,000 for federal tax returns." "No," Darla protested. "I'm willing to pay that much." "No, I don't work that way. Your current accountants are overcharging you. I will only take you on if I can offer a fair price." "Wow, I didn't expect that," Darla said gratefully. "That's going to help me a lot. Since I got the ranch, I've struggled to save. $1,250 a month will help a lot. Thank you, and Sarah and Ethan's lessons will be free from now on." "I can't ask you to do that," I protested. "You didn't ask," Darla smiled. Getting Darla's ranch as a client was a big help, but the divorce was just starting to heat up. Despite Jack's assurance that things would get better, it wasn't happening. Every week, there were pictures of David and Emily in the society section. It was unfair. Emily's life seemed perfect, and mine was in the toilet. I was lonely and miserable. 2 weeks after D-Day, my day started well with a call from Harvey's Hardware wanting me to do their accounting. But then it turned into a disaster. I was fired, which wasn't surprising but still depressing. Jack was preparing paperwork to file a wrongful termination suit with the EOC, warning it could take years. Jack sent out a press release about my battle with David, which reportedly made my former boss furious. Things worsened when Jack called to inform me a judge had signed a temporary custody order granting Emily primary custody. It was a devastating blow. I felt powerless as I tried to navigate this new phase of the legal battle. Emily's lawyer had argued that she was the more stable parent and had a secure home environment with David's support. Despite my efforts to prove my capability and commitment, the court seemed to favor Emily's new circumstances. I spent the next few days trying to maintain a semblance of normalcy for Sarah and Ethan. I made sure they were involved in their usual activities and continued with their writing lessons, which had become a highlight of their week. Darla was a great help, not just with the kids' lessons but also by offering me support and encouragement. Meanwhile, I threw myself into work, trying to build up my bookkeeping business. The new clients were a lifeline, but the financial strain was immense. Every day, I struggled to keep up with the bills and the emotional toll of the divorce. One particularly rough day, I came home to find Emily at my house, trying to talk to the kids. I was furious but held back, focusing instead on keeping calm for the sake of Sarah and Ethan. "Tom, I just want to see the kids," Emily pleaded. "I'm not here to cause trouble. You're here because you want to see them and play the concerned mom," I said coldly. "You left us, Emily. You chose David over us. I don't trust you." "I'm trying to do what's best for them," she argued, tears in her eyes. "I know it's been hard, but I want to be part of their lives." "You left me with a mess to clean up," I retorted. "Don't think you can just waltz back in and act like nothing happened." Emily sighed, knowing she couldn't change my mind. "I'll come by on Saturday to pick them up for a visit." "I'll respect your wishes, Tom." When Saturday came, I let Emily take the kids for a few hours. I watched them leave with a heavy heart, unsure how they were feeling about all the changes in their lives. I hoped Emily's visit would be beneficial for them, but I couldn't shake the anxiety that something might go wrong. That night, I received a call from Jack, who had some good news. Despite the temporary setback, the court had agreed to reconsider the custody arrangement. It wasn't a guaranteed win, but it was a glimmer of hope. Jack reassured me that the fight wasn't over and that we had a chance to present a stronger case. I felt a bit of relief but knew it was only a small victory in a long and grueling battle. The reality of the situation still weighed heavily on me. I continued to focus on building my business, spending time with my kids, and preparing for the next steps in the legal process. The emotional roller coaster was far from over, but I was determined to fight for my children and create a stable, loving environment for them, despite the turmoil and heartache. The following weeks were a whirlwind of emotions and legal battles. The court hearings became a regular part of my life, and each day felt like a new chapter in this painful saga. Emily's visits with Sarah and Ethan continued, and while they seemed to enjoy spending time with her, it was hard for me to shake the feeling of betrayal. One evening, after another grueling day in court, I was home alone, trying to finish some work. The silence was oppressive. My phone buzzed, breaking the quiet. It was a message from Darla. "Hey Tom, just checking in. How are you holding up?" I appreciated her thoughtfulness. It had been a tough few months, and Darla had been a steadfast friend. I typed back, "Hey Darla, it's been rough. The legal battle seems endless, and it's hard to stay positive. But I'm trying to focus on the kids and work." Darla responded quickly, "I can only imagine how difficult this must be. If you need anything, someone to talk to, help with the kids, or just a distraction, let me know. I'm here for you." Her support meant a lot to me. It was comforting to know I wasn't completely alone in this fight. That weekend, I had Sarah and Ethan for a few days. We decided to have a family movie night, a small but cherished tradition that offered a brief respite from the chaos. I rented their favorite films, made popcorn, and set up the living room like a makeshift theater. Their faces lit up with excitement as we settled in. During the movie, Ethan snuggled up next to me, and Sarah sat on the other side, both content and relaxed. It was a fleeting moment of normalcy and happiness amidst the storm. I realized how important these moments were, not just for them, but for me too. On Monday, I went to court for another hearing. Jack had been working tirelessly on my case, and we were finally ready to present our arguments for a permanent custody arrangement. I was nervous but hopeful that we could make a strong case. As the hearing began, I could feel the weight of every decision and every word. Jack argued passionately, presenting evidence of my stability and commitment as a parent. Emily's lawyer countered with their perspective, emphasizing Emily's new life and her desire to be involved with the kids. When it was my turn to speak, I took a deep breath and tried to remain composed. Your Honor, I want what's best for Sarah and Ethan. I've always been dedicated to providing a loving and stable environment for them. I've worked hard to build a secure home for them and ensure they have everything they need. I ask for the court's consideration in granting me primary custody, so I can continue to be the father they need. The judge listened attentively and took everything into account. It was a tense wait, but eventually the judge announced a decision. The custody arrangement would be revised, granting me a more significant role in the children's lives, though not full custody. Emily would still have visitation rights, but the primary responsibility would rest with me. I was relieved, though not entirely satisfied. It wasn't the complete victory I had hoped for, but it was progress. The decision allowed me to continue being a central part of my children's lives while managing the complexities of our new arrangement. After the hearing, I took Sarah and Ethan out for ice cream to celebrate. They were thrilled and enjoyed their treats, but I could see the uncertainty in their eyes. I hoped the new arrangement would bring them some stability and peace of mind. As the days went by, I continued to adjust to the new custody arrangement and manage the challenges that came with it. The battle was far from over, but with each small victory, I felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. I remained focused on providing the best possible life for my kids and finding a way to move forward, one step at a time. The days following the court decision were filled with a mixture of relief and apprehension. Emily respected the new arrangement, and our interactions became more civil, albeit strained. We were now bound by the court's decisions, which meant our communication was largely restricted to what was necessary for the children. During this period, I found solace in routine. I maintained a consistent schedule for Sarah and Ethan, balancing work, school, and quality time. I made it a point to be present for every milestone, from parent-teacher conferences to soccer games. It was crucial for me to create a sense of normalcy and stability for them, especially after the upheaval they had experienced. One day, while at a local park with Sarah and Ethan, I ran into Darla again. She was out for a walk and spotted us. Her warm smile was a welcome sight, and we exchanged pleasantries. She had become a close friend during this tumultuous time, offering not only emotional support, but also practical help when needed. "Hey Tom, it's good to see you. How are things going?" she asked. I shrugged, trying to put on a brave face. "Hey Darla, things are going better. The kids are adjusting, and I'm just trying to keep everything on track. How about you?" "Busy as always, but I'm doing well. I was actually thinking of you and wanted to see if you needed any help with the kids, or just someone to talk to." I appreciated her offer. "That's very kind of you. Actually, if you're free this weekend, I'd love to have you over for dinner. It would be nice to catch up and have some adult conversation." Darla agreed enthusiastically, and we set a date for Saturday evening. It was a small thing, but it was something to look forward to, a chance to unwind and enjoy a pleasant evening. Saturday arrived, and I prepared a simple but hearty meal. I wanted to make it special not just for Darla, but for Sarah and Ethan as well. They were excited about the dinner, and their enthusiasm was infectious. When Darla arrived, she brought along a homemade dessert, which was a delightful addition to our meal. The evening was filled with laughter and good conversation. Darla's presence was a welcome distraction from the ongoing legal battles and emotional strain. We talked about everything from current events to our favorite books, and it felt good to connect with someone who understood the challenges I was facing. As the night drew to a close, Darla helped with the cleanup, and we shared a moment of quiet reflection. Tom, I just want to say that I admire your strength and resilience through all of this. It's not easy, but you're doing an amazing job. Her words were comforting. Thanks, Darla. It means a lot to hear that. I'm just trying to do my best for the kids and get through each day. She gave me a reassuring smile before leaving. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. You've got a friend in me. The reassurance and support from Darla, coupled with the moments of joy with Sarah and Ethan, helped me navigate this challenging period. It was still a work in progress, but each day brought new opportunities to rebuild and find hope amidst the uncertainty. As the weeks turned into months, I continued to focus on creating a stable environment for my children and managing the ongoing adjustments to our lives. I knew that, despite the struggles, there was a light at the end of the tunnel. My determination to provide the best for Sarah and Ethan kept me moving forward, one step at a time. One crisp autumn morning, I received a letter from the family court. My heart raced as I tore open the envelope. Inside was an update on the proceedings related to Emily's visitation rights and child support obligations. The judge had made some revisions to the initial arrangement based on the recent evaluations. The new arrangement provided a bit more flexibility in visitation, which was a relief. However, it also meant that I had to continue navigating the complexities of our co-parenting relationship. While Emily's compliance with the court's decisions was improving, the emotional strain of working together for the sake of the children was still evident. That evening, I decided it was time for a heart-to-heart conversation with Sarah and Ethan. We sat down together in the living room, where I explained the changes in a way that was age-appropriate. I reassured them that the new arrangement was meant to make things better and that they were always my top priority. We're going to have some new rules about how we spend time with Mom, I said gently. And it might be a little different from what we're used to, but it's all to make sure that everyone is happy and we can spend good times together. Sarah looked up at me with a curious expression. Does that mean we'll still see Mom on the weekends? Yes, we will, I replied. We'll have our weekends with Mom, and we'll also have our special times together. We just need to be flexible and understand that things are changing a bit. Ethan nodded, though his little face still showed signs of confusion. Okay, Dad. As long as we can still go to the park and play. I smiled at him. Of course we can. We'll still have our fun times, and we'll make sure everything is okay. The conversation seemed to bring a sense of relief to both of them. They were resilient, and I admired their ability to adapt to the changes in their lives. The bond we shared continued to strengthen, and it became clear that our little family was finding its new rhythm. As the weeks passed, I began to notice subtle but significant improvements in our daily lives. The tension between Emily and me had lessened, and our interactions became more focused on our children's needs. I could see the positive impact on Sarah and Ethan, who seemed more at ease and less burdened by the complexities of our situation. One day, while dropping the kids off at school, I ran into Emily. It was an ordinary encounter, but it felt like a milestone. We exchanged polite greetings and brief updates about the kids' schedules. It was a small step, but it marked a moment of progress in our evolving relationship. Tom, I appreciate the effort you're putting into making things work, Emily said. It's not easy for either of us, but I can see that you're doing your best. I nodded. Thank you, Emily. I'm just trying to make sure that Sarah and Ethan have a stable and happy environment. Her acknowledgement was a sign that we were moving towards a more amicable co-parenting relationship. It didn't erase the past, but it was a step forward. One evening, as I tucked Sarah and Ethan into bed, they both seemed unusually excited. Dad, Sarah said with a grin, we're making a special project at school tomorrow, and we want to make it a surprise for you. Ethan added, it's going to be really cool. You'll see. I kissed them goodnight, feeling a mix of curiosity and warmth. It was moments like these that reminded me of the joys and rewards of being a parent. Despite the challenges and changes, there were still countless reasons to be grateful and hopeful. The following day, Sarah and Ethan came home with their school project. It was a beautifully crafted scrapbook filled with drawings, photos, and messages about their family. They had put so much effort into it, and it was a touching reminder of their love and creativity. As we sat together looking through the scrapbook, I felt a deep sense of pride and contentment. Despite the turbulence we had experienced, we were forging a path forward, one that was filled with resilience, love, and the unwavering commitment to our children's well-being. As the months went by, our routine started to stabilize, and the impact of the changes became more apparent. Sarah and Ethan adjusted well to the new visitation schedule, and their sense of normalcy began to return. Emily and I continued to communicate more effectively, focusing on what was best for our children. One particularly chilly winter morning, I received an invitation to a school event for Sarah and Ethan. The school was hosting a family day, with activities, performances, and an opportunity for parents to engage with their children's educational experiences. I was excited about the chance to spend quality time with them and to support their endeavors. The event was held in the school gymnasium, decorated with festive banners and student artwork. As I walked in, I saw Sarah and Ethan eagerly waving to me from their classroom table. Their faces lit up with excitement. They had prepared a project together, showcasing their recent learnings and creative skills. "Dad, look at what we made," Sarah called out as I approached. Ethan proudly showed me their project, which was a detailed diorama of a winter wonderland. It featured miniature snowmen, trees, and animals, all meticulously crafted by the kids. Their enthusiasm and pride in their work were palpable. "It's amazing," I said, genuinely impressed. "You both did a fantastic job." The event continued with various activities, and I was grateful for the opportunity to engage with Sarah and Ethan in such a positive setting. We participated in games, enjoyed a performance by the school choir, and even took part in a parent-child art project. The joy and laughter we shared were a testament to our growing bond and the progress we had made. Later in the day, as we were heading home, Sarah turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Dad, can we do something special together this weekend? Maybe go ice skating or have a movie night?" I smiled at her. "That sounds like a great idea, Sarah. Let's plan for a fun weekend. What do you think, Ethan?" Ethan nodded eagerly. "Yes, Dad. I want to go ice skating and watch a superhero movie." It warmed my heart to see their excitement and to be part of their lives in such a meaningful way. We spent the weekend enjoying their chosen activities, creating new memories, and strengthening our family bond. One evening, as I was reflecting on the recent developments, I realized how far we had come. The challenges and adjustments had not been easy, but we had managed to navigate them with resilience and determination. The relationship between Emily and me had evolved into a more cooperative and respectful dynamic, and our focus on the children's happiness had become our shared priority. In the weeks that followed, Emily and I continued to build on the progress we had made. Our conversations were more constructive, and we found common ground in our commitment to co-parenting. It was clear that while our journey was far from perfect, we were moving in a positive direction. One afternoon, Emily and I met for coffee to discuss the upcoming holiday plans. It was a casual and amicable conversation, and we agreed on a schedule that would allow the children to spend quality time with both of us. As we wrapped up our discussion, Emily looked at me with a genuine smile. "Tom, I want to thank you for working through all of this with me. It's been tough, but I think we're making progress for the kids." I nodded in agreement. "I appreciate that, Emily. I'm glad we're finding a way to make this work. Our children deserve the best we can give them." With a sense of mutual understanding, we parted ways. The road ahead was still filled with challenges, but the steps we had taken toward healing and cooperation were promising. As I continued to focus on creating a positive environment for Sarah and Ethan, I felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. Our journey was ongoing, but each day brought new opportunities for growth, connection, and the shared goal of providing our children with the love and stability they needed. As winter turned to spring, the days grew longer, and the atmosphere lightened. The transition from the cold season to the warmth of spring seemed to mirror the changes in our lives. The focus on our children's well-being continued to be a guiding principle for both Emily and me, and it was clear that our co-parenting arrangement was becoming more harmonious. One day, Sarah and Ethan came home from school with news about an upcoming school trip. They were excited about visiting a local science museum and participating in interactive exhibits. They asked if I could come along as a chaperone. "Dad, can you come with us?" Ethan asked, his eyes wide with anticipation. "It's going to be so much fun." I looked at Sarah, who nodded enthusiastically. "I'd love to, kids. Sounds like a fantastic adventure. I'll make sure to be there." The day of the trip arrived, and I joined the group of students and parents at the museum. The museum was bustling with activity, and the children were eager to explore the various exhibits. Sarah and Ethan led the way, guiding me to their favorite displays and sharing their excitement about the interactive activities. As we walked through the museum, I observed how the children's curiosity and enthusiasm were sparked by the exhibits. It was heartwarming to see them so engaged and to be a part of their experience. We spent the day exploring the exhibits, participating in hands-on experiments, and learning about different scientific concepts. During lunch, we found a quiet spot in the museum's cafe to rest and enjoy our meals. Sarah and Ethan chatted excitedly about their favorite parts of the day, and I couldn't help but smile at their joy. "This has been the best day ever," Sarah said, beaming. Ethan nodded in agreement. "Yeah, Dad. Thanks for coming with us." I ruffled their hair affectionately. "I'm glad I could be here with you. It's been a lot of fun." As the day came to a close, we headed back home with a sense of accomplishment and happiness. The museum trip had not only been a memorable experience for the children, but also an opportunity for us to bond as a family. Back at home, the evening was filled with laughter as Sarah and Ethan recounted their favorite moments from the trip. Emily joined us for dinner, and we all shared stories and enjoyed a meal together. The atmosphere was relaxed and cheerful, and it was clear that the efforts we had made to improve our relationship were paying off. Over the next few weeks, Emily and I continued to work together to ensure that our children felt loved and supported. We attended their school events, participated in their extracurricular activities, and maintained open communication about their needs and schedules. One evening, as I was preparing for bed, I received a message from Emily. It was a simple note expressing gratitude for our recent collaboration and acknowledging the positive impact it had on our children. Her words were heartfelt, and it was a reminder of the progress we had made. "Tom, I just wanted to say thank you for everything. I know this hasn't been easy, but your commitment to our kids means a lot. I appreciate the effort we're both putting into making this work." I responded with a message of my own, expressing my appreciation for her cooperation and acknowledging the progress we had achieved together. The following weekend, we decided to have a family picnic in the park. The weather was pleasant, and it was a perfect day for outdoor activities. We packed a picnic basket with sandwiches, snacks, and drinks, and headed to a local park with Sarah and Ethan. The park was lively with families enjoying the beautiful day. We spread out a blanket under a shady tree and enjoyed our meal together. Afterward, we played games, flew kites, and explored the park's trails. As the sun began to set, we sat together on the blanket, watching the sky change colors. Sarah and Ethan were tired but happy, and Emily and I exchanged smiles, content with the day's experiences. The picnic was a reminder of the importance of cherishing these moments together. Despite the challenges we had faced, the love and connection we shared as a family were evident. The journey had not been without its difficulties, but the progress we had made and the positive experiences we had created for our children were worth every effort. As we packed up and headed home, I felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. The road ahead was still uncertain, but with each step we took, we were building a foundation of understanding, cooperation, and love for our family. As summer approached, the warmth of the season brought a new energy to our lives. The days were filled with sunlight and the promise of new beginnings. Emily and I continued to navigate the complexities of our co-parenting arrangement, focusing on creating positive experiences for Sarah and Ethan. One weekend, we decided to take a family trip to a nearby lake for a day of swimming and relaxation. The idea of spending time outdoors and enjoying nature appealed to both of us, and we thought it would be a great way to bond with the kids. We arrived at the lake early in the morning, and the scenery was breathtaking. The water shimmered under the bright sun, and the surrounding trees provided a lush, green backdrop. Sarah and Ethan were thrilled to see the lake and quickly changed into their swimsuits, eager to dive in. Emily and I set up a picnic area with towels, sunscreen, and snacks while the kids splashed around in the water. It was heartening to see them so carefree and happy. The lake's calm waters and gentle waves provided a perfect setting for a day of fun and relaxation. As the afternoon wore on, we enjoyed a picnic lunch by the shore. Sarah and Ethan regaled us with stories of their underwater adventures and excitedly showed us their latest discoveries. Emily and I joined in the fun, playing games with the kids and making sure everyone was well-fed and hydrated. Later in the day, we took a leisurely walk along the lake's edge, enjoying the serene surroundings. We talked about our plans for the summer and discussed ways to make the most of our time together as a family. The conversation flowed easily, and it was evident that our communication had improved significantly. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the lake, we packed up our things and prepared to head home. Sarah and Ethan were tired but satisfied, their faces glowing with the day's joy. Emily and I shared a look of contentment, knowing that this day had been a positive step forward for our family. The days continued to pass, and summer unfolded with a series of joyful moments. We attended local events, participated in community activities, and spent quality time together. Our efforts to rebuild our relationship and focus on our children's well-being were paying off, and it was clear that we were creating lasting memories for our family. One evening, as we sat together on the porch, watching the sunset, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Tom, I know we've been through a lot, but I want you to know how much I appreciate your commitment to our family. It hasn't been easy, but seeing how happy the kids are makes it all worth it." I reached out and took her hand. "I feel the same way, Emily. It's been a journey, but we're making progress. Our focus on the kids and our efforts to work together are helping us move forward." We sat in comfortable silence, savoring the peaceful evening and reflecting on the positive changes in our lives. The path ahead was still uncertain, but the progress we had made gave us hope for a brighter future. As summer drew to a close, we looked back on the season with a sense of accomplishment and gratitude. The experiences we had shared and the growth we had achieved were testaments to our dedication to our family. With each passing day, we were building a stronger, more resilient foundation for our future. The journey was far from over, but the love and commitment we shared were guiding us toward a new chapter in our lives. With hope and determination, we embraced the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead, knowing that together, we could navigate whatever came our way. As autumn began to paint the landscape with its vibrant hues, our family continued to grow closer. The cooler weather brought new opportunities for us to bond, and we eagerly embraced the changing season. One crisp Saturday morning, Emily suggested we visit a nearby apple orchard. The idea was met with enthusiasm by Sarah and Ethan, who were excited about the prospect of picking apples and enjoying the autumn festivities. We arrived at the orchard, greeted by the sight of rows upon rows of apple trees laden with ripe fruit. The air was filled with the sweet scent of apples and the sound of children's laughter. We picked out a basket and began our adventure through the orchard. Sarah and Ethan quickly became absorbed in the task of finding the perfect apples. They darted between trees, their little hands reaching up to pluck the juiciest apples they could find. Emily and I followed, enjoying the simple pleasure of being together in such a picturesque setting. After a while, we took a break to enjoy some hot cider and freshly baked apple pastries from a nearby stand. As we sipped our drinks and savored the treats, we chatted about our favorite moments of the day and made plans for future family outings. Once our baskets were full, we headed back to the car, our hearts light with the joy of our shared experience. The drive home was filled with animated discussions about the recipes we wanted to try with our apple haul and how we could incorporate more family traditions into our lives. The autumn continued to bring its own set of joys and challenges. We enjoyed pumpkin carving, went on scenic hikes, and celebrated Thanksgiving with a sense of gratitude and togetherness. The season's festivities helped to strengthen our bond and reminded us of the importance of family. As the year drew to a close, Emily and I reflected on the progress we had made. The challenges we had faced seemed more manageable, and the love we had for our children was a powerful motivator for our continued efforts. We had worked hard to rebuild our relationship, and while there were still hurdles to overcome, we were finding a renewed sense of hope and connection. One evening, as we sat by the fireplace, Emily turned to me with a warm smile. "Tom, I know this year has been full of ups and downs, but I want you to know how much I value the effort we've both put into making things work. It means a lot to me." I took her hand and looked into her eyes. "Emily, I feel the same way. We've come a long way, and I'm proud of what we've achieved together. Our family means everything to me, and I'm committed to continuing this journey with you." As the year ended, we welcomed the new one with a renewed sense of optimism. The future remained uncertain, but we faced it with a strengthened resolve and a deeper appreciation for one another. With our hearts full of hope and our spirits high, we embraced the promise of the new year, ready to face whatever challenges and opportunities lay ahead. The journey had been long and arduous, but the love and commitment we shared had guided us through. With each passing day, we continued to build a life filled with joy, resilience, and the unwavering support of our family. With the start of the new year, we began making bigger plans for the future. Emily and I both felt the positive changes in our relationship, and we decided to continue putting in effort to strengthen and enrich our family life. One of the important decisions we made was to spend more time together and create memorable experiences. We planned a family trip to a mountain resort, where we could enjoy the fresh air and explore new sights. As spring arrived, we packed our bags and set off on a bright morning. Sarah and Ethan were excited about the outdoor activities and new games. Emily and I were equally enthusiastic, as this was an opportunity to renew our relationship and enjoy precious moments together. The trip started smoothly. We drove through winding roads and stopped at charming viewpoints to take photos and enjoy the scenery. Upon arrival, we immediately felt the freshness and tranquility of the resort. We spent time strolling through the park, playing outdoor games, and even challenging ourselves with some adventurous activities like hiking and skiing. Sarah and Ethan were especially thrilled with the evenings by the campfire, where we roasted marshmallows and shared fun stories. This experience not only helped us bond more closely, but also made us reflect on the important things in life. We learned that despite facing challenges or difficulties, the love and unity of our family are always the greatest sources of encouragement. Returning from the trip, we felt rejuvenated and ready to continue our journey. We decided to maintain the positive habits we had developed during our time at the resort, from spending quality time together to overcoming challenges as a team. The new year began with a renewed spirit, and we were proud of the progress we had made. Our relationship was growing stronger, and we felt more confident than ever in building a happy and meaningful future together. As the months went by, Emily and I continued to focus on nurturing our relationship and creating a loving environment for Sarah and Ethan. We made it a priority to communicate openly and honestly, ensuring that we were always on the same page about our goals and expectations. Summer arrived, and with it came the opportunity for more family adventures. We planned a road trip to explore nearby cities and enjoy new experiences together. The journey was filled with laughter, excitement, and a few unexpected detours that only added to the fun. During our travels, we visited museums, historical landmarks, and local festivals. Sarah and Ethan enjoyed learning about different cultures and trying new foods. Emily and I cherished these moments, knowing that they were helping us build lasting memories and strengthen our bond as a family. As we approached the fall, we decided to take up new hobbies and interests. Emily started a pottery class, and I joined a community sports league. We encouraged each other to pursue our passions and supported one another in our personal growth. The changing seasons also brought a sense of renewal and reflection. We took time to appreciate how far we had come and the positive changes we had made. We celebrated our progress and set new goals for the future, always with a focus on maintaining our close-knit family and supporting each other's dreams. By the end of the year, we felt a deep sense of accomplishment and gratitude. Our relationship had grown stronger, and we had created a wealth of happy memories together. We were excited about what the future held and looked forward to continuing our journey with love, understanding, and commitment. As the year drew to a close, we began to reflect on the challenges we had faced and the triumphs we had celebrated. The holidays were a special time for us, filled with joy, warmth, and the comforting presence of family. We decorated our home with festive lights and ornaments, creating a cozy atmosphere that invited laughter and cheer. Sarah and Ethan were thrilled to help with the holiday preparations, eagerly participating in decorating the tree and baking cookies. The holiday season also gave us a chance to reconnect with extended family and friends. We hosted a gathering where we shared stories, exchanged gifts, and enjoyed delicious meals together. It was a heartwarming reminder of the support and love that surrounded us. As the new year approached, we took some time to set intentions and aspirations for the future. We each shared our hopes and dreams, both as individuals and as a family. We discussed our plans for personal growth, our goals for our relationship, and our aspirations for our children's future. With a renewed sense of purpose and commitment, we welcomed the new year with optimism and excitement. We were determined to continue building on the positive changes we had made and to embrace whatever challenges and opportunities lay ahead. As we embarked on the new year, we felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey we had been on and the progress we had achieved. Our family was stronger, our relationship was deeper, and our hearts were full of hope for the future. Together, we looked forward to a year of continued growth, love, and happiness. In the early days of the new year, we set about implementing the plans we had discussed. We took small steps toward our goals, celebrating each milestone along the way. Sarah and Ethan's enthusiasm for new activities and learning opportunities brought an extra layer of joy to our lives. Our relationship also continued to evolve. We made a concerted effort to prioritize quality time together, setting aside regular date nights and engaging in activities we both enjoyed. This not only strengthened our bond, but also helped us navigate any remaining challenges with greater resilience. Professionally, we focused on rebuilding our business and exploring new opportunities. We embraced the lessons learned from past experiences and approached our work with renewed energy and creativity. Our efforts began to bear fruit, and we saw positive changes in our business's performance. The spring brought a sense of renewal and growth. We spent time outdoors, enjoying the beauty of nature and the company of one another. Family outings and adventures became a cherished part of our routine, fostering a sense of adventure and togetherness. As we continued to move forward, we remained committed to supporting each other and nurturing our relationship. We faced new challenges with a united front, drawing strength from our shared experiences and the love that bound us together. In the summer, we took a much-needed family vacation, creating lasting memories and deepening our connection. The time away from our daily routines allowed us to relax, recharge, and enjoy each other's company in a new and exciting environment. The months rolled on, and our lives began to reflect the positive changes we had worked so hard to achieve. We celebrated our successes, both big and small, and remained focused on our shared vision for the future. As the year progressed, we continued to grow as individuals and as a family. We remained grateful for the journey we had undertaken and the strength we had found in each other. Our hearts were full, and our spirits were high, ready to embrace whatever the future held for us.